Yeah, 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 yeah. At least I got your love on my back. You steady making me laugh. For that, I gotta thank the Lord above us, cause
Michael Akadiri to the stage, please.
Make me laugh when my sanity's blue. I was low pockets in these words I make. And yeah, I'm a scrub, but at least I got you. Yeah, at least I got you. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Wish me luck, man.
I'm a scrub, but you still love me.
Please welcome to the stage your act for the evening, Michael Akadiri. Thank you so much, London. When I say no, you say scrubs. No? Scrubs. No? Scrubs. That's the energy we gotta have all evening. If you don't know what's going on, my name is Michael Akadiri, and this is my show called No Scrubs. And it's called that because you'll never catch me riding passenger side of my best friends. We're doing karaoke tonight, that's what we did. Now I'm messing around, it's called No Scrubs because I'm a junior doctor in the NHS. Thank you, that's so kind. 3 years ago, that was a standing ovation, but I'll take that, that's cool. That's all you got for me, London, that's cool. But before I get into the show, man, does anyone here actually work for the health service? Woo! Okay, I could have done this show at the hospital, okay, so I've got a couple of you here. What's your name and what do you do for the health service, please?
I'm Joanne, I'm dentist.
Give it up for Joanne the dentist. That's the NHS you pay for. That's that different type of NHS. You're on a different tier to us, but thank you, Joanne, for your custom. What about, I heard a little noise here for the NHS. Was you? Oh, I was even ventriloquist. Okay, we'll do both of you. Young lady, what's your name and what do you do? Give it up for Helen, the nurse in a GP practice. Absolutely brilliant. And not to leave you out, what's your name and what do you do?
My name's Mary. I'm the mental health manager in psychiatric.
Give it up for Mary Psychiatric Hospital. Oh my goodness. A nice little variety there. I actually like having medical people at my shows, man. So if you guys have any medical complaints, these are the people you need to go to. Do not look at me. I am off duty, all I've got up here is jokes. Good people say laughs is the best medicine, but no one wants to find out. No one's ever been in the back of the ambulance and said, nah, don't take me to A&E. Bring me to the Pleasance Theatre. These jokes will save me. Now, but being a comicdoc.com, it's got me some fans though. Like I had a guy book tickets to see me because, and I quote, it's the quickest way to get a doctor's appointment. And mid-show, he was hitting me with all these medical heckles. He was like, I'm wheezing. And the wickedest thing is, symptoms of medical emergencies actually encourage a comic. So when you're doing really well on stage, all you want to hear is, I can't breathe. Nah, you're killing me. Which is a mindfuck for me, because the doc in me is like, rah. Should I go help? But the comic can be like, nah, keep going. Don't stop till you hear them say, nah, I'm dead. I'm deceased. And here, that's great. But here at work, I fucked up. Do you see my problem? I'm Nigerian, so becoming a doctor was not my choice. It was my destiny. I didn't just graduate, I fulfilled my mother's prophecy. Because apparently when I was born, there was a prophetess Josephine. To me, just a fortune teller with no cookies. But to everyone else, this woman of God who had a vision that I would become a doctor. Even though she's only got one eye, this Layla from Futurama could see medicine in my future and call me a non-believer. But I call horseshit, London. Because my vision was so good, why did she warn me I was going to lose my hair prematurely? Why? She had me paying for 5 trims when I only had 3 left. Why? But my mum, she don't ask them type of questions. She's like, Josephine talks to Jesus. I'm like, well, so does Jerome outside the bookies. And she's like, no, she talks in tongues to the Lord. I'm like, look, she may speak to him, but we don't know how close they are. No, because he didn't write about her in his book. And even Judas got a shout out. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm just pissed off, man, because I met this prophetess 2 times in my life, but she be taking credit for all my success. Do you know what it's like? It's like doing a group project, and you've done the lion's share of the work, but when it comes to presenting, she's all up in there like she did something. Now I know how Nicole Scherzinger feels about the Pussycat Dolls. Now I understand. Because we all know Nicole, but not even Nicole knows the names of those other dolls. I get it, man. Medicine can be nameless too. I understand it. I remember I saved this old lady's life. Brought her back from the brink. The Grim Reaper was calling her, I blocked the call. And what the first thing she said to me when she came to? The first thing she said to me when she came to was, "Thank you, Jesus." I was like, Jesus? If it weren't for me, you would have met Jesus. How do you know? Thanking me. But I get it, man, medicine's altruistic. You gotta put your patients first, even to the detriment of yourself. For example, I know how to treat a stroke, act fast, call 999. Supposedly though, you're not meant to call 999 from the hospital. I didn't know that advice was just for civilians, but there we go. But on the right, I know how to treat a stroke, but apparently my stroke game needs treatment. That's what my missus said to me during our annual performance review. So to spice things up, we get these matching onesies, Batman and Catwoman, and she tells me to undo my back and lie on my front. I figured, oh, she's gonna give me a full Swedish. My favorite, but what she did was, she gets a vibrator and shoves it up my arse. A whole 8 inches. The only Swedish thing she gave me was Stockholm Syndrome. I was terrified. And I don't know about you guys, man, but down there for me, it's only one-way traffic. She's got to respect my highway code. So I'm lying on my front, she's on my back. I just feel this sudden voltage, the Duracell bunnies within a number on me, and then I flip out and she goes flying. And I'm looking at her like, nah, man, don't tell me she's knocked out. Because no one's gonna believe she assaulted me first. No one's gonna believe me. Then the second two, she comes through, she's like, oh, my shoulder. I'm like, bun your shoulder. You've got 2 of them. I've only got 1 arse. Why the hell did you plow my anus? She said she wanted to reset my G-spot. I said that shit was never set in the first place. So we go to the hospital in these matching onesies. And the doctor's like, so what happened? And she's like, oh, we were play fighting. I'm looking at her like, what the fuck? So she knows I'm not playing, but now he thinks we're fighting for real, sends me out the room like she didn't just take my virginity. And I'm standing outside the room and I know what he's saying to her, because I've been trained to say the same thing too. He's like, was it more playing? Was it more fighting? Did he hurt you? Do you feel safe to go back with him? I felt like rushing in there and saying, me and my ass don't feel safe. That's who don't feel safe in here. Anyway, that's just a little excerpt, people, to show you guys that when I'm not in my scrubs, I can look like a scrub. Even in a Batman onesie, when I'm meant to be the hero, I can look like a villain. And that's essentially what this show here today is about. It's about my life in the NHS, my life outside it, and how these scrubs, not any onesies, but these scrubs, had been caught fighting for my freedom. Because I think the general public see us in these scrubs and think we're these untouchable heroes, when in actuality, our positions can be quite precarious. But if you only take one thing away from this show, protect yourselves from those anal attacks. Just protect yourselves. I thought I knew my wife. But I come from an NHS family. Like my mum, she's a psychiatric nurse, just like you in that theory. And do you know what? I think the stress is getting to her. Because she called me the other day and she asked me for my date of birth. And I was like, rah, like, weren't you there? She's asking me like she weren't involved. Now I'm real petty with her. Like earlier this afternoon, I was marinating some lamb because I'm doing all right in life. And she was like, you better cook that today, otherwise it's gonna expire. And I was like, oh, so you remember the date of that? Some fucking lamb. But that's the thing, my mum, she's too gaff prone, man. She's like a Nigerian Alan Partridge. I remember she called me one time and she told me she plans to set up a widow support group for the sisters. I said, you know what, mum? That's all well and good. But first and foremost, does dad know? Is dad aware of these plans? I think he should be, but before you update your Facebook status to widow and he's liking the post, I just think there should be that line of dialogue. I want to reassure everyone, man, my dad is alive and well, and I pray that continues. Can I get an amen? Because that man has got debts, and he's gonna need some time. Don't take him before he's paid, Lord, don't take him. My dad had 4 sons, man, and my older brother Charles, man, when he went to uni, he picked up poker. But my mum, she's a staunch Christian. She don't fuck around with no poker. She told him straight, don't come to me when you blow all your money, because we all know the house always wins. One evening, he wins 50 grand at a tournament, and she was like, as I said, this house always wins. We are winners. Where's my commission for rearing you? Where is my money? But when I got to uni, though, I really struggled financially. Woo! I was financially stricken. I was on my knees like an atheist when there's turbulence. I really struggled financially. It got so bad, London, it got so bad. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I started diluting milk. So what I'll do, I'll buy 1 pint of blue, mix it with water to get 4 pints of red. And when you do that, let me tell you, your Rice Krispies do not snap, crackle, or pop. That is, for goddamn sure, I tried too many times. That's why I fuck with the Quaker Oats now, because they don't mind the little water, they don't mind. Them Quakers are good people, man. They're good. Cost of living proof, them Quakers. I went to Nottingham Uni, and I don't know if you guys heard this. Yeah, big up Nottingham. I don't know if you guys heard this, but there was a girl from there who was recently awarded the Black Student of the Year, which is commendable, right? Okay, there's more of you in here. I'm gonna try that again. We had a whole movement 3 years ago. I don't know if you heard about it, but saw those black squares on Instagram. I saw that shit. So let's try that again. There was a girl from there who was recently awarded the Black Student of the Year, which is commendable, right? It's more like it. But the small problem I had with this, and it's just a small problem, the girl's not black. Seriously, she was Asian, but was identified as black. And I don't know London. I don't know where we got so PC that we can't call this type of nonsense out. So in return, because I work in healthcare, I'll put myself forward for the Asian Doctor of the Year. Thank you so much. Thank you. I just did it for pure banter. But given to PC, they gave me runner-up. You guys are laughing, man, but Dr. Patel wasn't happy, man. Dr. Patel, I'm gonna go for the gold this year. And I know my people in Mumbai will vote for me. I know they'll do me that solid. Then once you graduate med school, you've got to do something called foundation training. It's where you do a few different jobs to get a feel of what you may like to do in the future. And one of the most popular jobs during that period is something called geriatrics. And it's good to see a few of you guys looking so well. And with that said, makes a change. With that said, I'll let you guys in on a little secret about geriatrics, yeah? Anytime any of your patients gets cremated, obviously, after they've died, you get, go get in the right order, you get an £82 check. You get 4 scores and some more. And they call that ash cash. 82 quid for throwing a corpse in a furnace. And obviously, we don't do the throwing ourselves, London. I've asked, they won't let us. But what ash cash begs the question, whose side are we really on? Because on the side of life, they don't pay NHS staff enough. But on the side of death, they're giving out bonuses. So what type of fuckeries do they want to see? Had a friend called Gerald who started on geriatrics, and I hate to break it to you, London, he was making a killing. They started calling him Harold because he was shipping so many man to the morgue. And I said, look, man, we have to keep you off the ward to keep those patients safe. Then I started on geriatrics, and my fortune's done a 180. I started using the words I didn't know was in my vernacular, like, keep the change. Put it on my tab. 4 pints of full-fat milk, please. I started saying words I never said before. And I was enjoying the money, then out of nowhere, this was back in 2016, the BMA, that's the Junior Doctors Union, announced that junior doctors were going to strike because we weren't happy with our pay. And I was like, first of all, there's no meat in we, you ain't going to fuck up my ash tray. And second of all, if we all strike, man, who's going to look after those patients, huh? Who's going to do that? That's why I didn't strike during that period. I stayed behind and I collected those checks. That's why these kicks right here are courtesy of Maureen, man. Courtesy of... Take footsteps in the memory every day. Okay, I also rotated through this male fertility clinic, and believe you me, London, it's not easy looking a man in the eye and telling him that his sperm ain't potent, that his swimmers are drowning. It's not easy, especially when you know your shit is formidable, like Michael Phelps. Like, I'm Nigerian. I could just look at a postmenopausal woman and get her pregnant. That's how potent Nigerian sperm is. I don't know if you heard about Nigerian sperm, but it comes with its own egg. It's like, all in one, like a HelloFresh delivery. You can get that sperm and egg combo pack, you can get it. Had a young guy come into the clinic, not older than me, man. I was like, look, man, we've checked your sperm count diligently, and I'm afraid to tell you that your count is 0. And then I see this one tear drop down his face. And he's like, you mean to tell me, all this time, I didn't need a condom? He's like, I've been spending all my money on Durex and nobody could have warned me. He said he's gonna speak to his lawyer about this. I said, lawyer, what? I didn't charge the NHS for this. Because he can't sue us for loss of bareback opportunities. Can't take it to trial for the lack of ooshy gooshy, you can't. He tried though. Well, one of my favorite jobs during that period is something called obviously psychiatry, and I tell everyone, man, you gotta protect your mental as much as your physical. There's no point eating 5 a day if you're gonna feed your mind conspiracy theories. But before they would let us on at Takeshi's Castle Award, they said, we got to do 2 days of mandatory defense training. I said, 2 days? Is that enough? How long, obviously, my dentist colleague here, how many years did it take you to train to keep other people's teeth safe? So 8 years, so it's taken 8 years to keep your teeth safe. But when it comes to our safety, we're only given 2 days. 48 hours. I can't become Jackie Chan in a weekend, I can't. And I remember the first day of this training session, the instructor says, this is what you gotta do if someone comes to you with a fork, because apparently NHS cuts have now reached cutlery. So he said, if someone comes to you with a fork, all you need to do is alert and divert, which is corporate speak for scream and run. Instead of teaching us MMA, he just taught us to be MIA. That's all. That was. I didn't even bother with the second day because I already knew how to defend myself from vibrator attacks. I didn't bother. I remember I had my first shift later that week, man. It was dark, it was wet, it was raining, it was a Tuesday evening. So it felt like I was gonna play an away game at Stoke. And I had, it was a room dark like this, and I walk onto the ward, and all I see is a figure in the back, and he starts singing the Fugees at me. So all I hear is, ready or not, here I come, you can't hide, I'ma find you. And let me tell you something, London, I took off like Mo Farah. I screamed, I ran, I did the Mobot, the whole shit. And apparently, that patient does that with every new staff starter. So whenever he gets out, me and him are going on tour, because that is fucking hilarious. That is absolutely brilliant. Because they're regular folks on that ward like you and I. Regular people, man. Like, I remember there was this young guy who had this real bad schizophrenia, but he was a big wrestling fan like me. Randy Orton, who's like the Wayne Rooney of the WWE, was his favourite wrestler. And he would always play the Randy Orton theme tune. So every time the nurses walk past his room, all they will hear is I hear voices in my head, they count to me, they understand, they talk to me, and the nurses will be like, oh my goodness, he's relapsing. I'm like, no, it's just a wrestling theme tune, he's all good, don't inject him, he's all good. Then a week later, he tried to chop his dick off, and I was like, oh shit, maybe he was relapsing, maybe he was, and I was there singing it with him, I thought we were reciting lyrics, but my man was making a declaration. I didn't. If I knew it was serious, I would have injected it in myself. I hear voices. No, you don't. Not on my shift, man. Voices shut the fuck up when I'm here. That's too much paperwork. Then you got to get to a point where you got to decide what you want to specialize in. And I always think it's good to run that decision by your spouse, your significant other. I remember I came home one day, I was like, babe, my tutor thinks I'll make a very good gynecologist. And she's like, no, the fuck you won't. Because there's no way I'm going to be married to a coochie inspector. I said, actually, it's Inspector Coochie, but there we go. Ladies in the room, ladies of London, make some noise if you let your man or partner work as a gynecologist. Damn, a bit scattered applause in the corner. Okay. I remember when I done the show up in Edinburgh, I asked that same question. A young girl was like, yeah, I don't mind if he has a passion for it. I'm like, okay, I don't think passion's the right word. You're gonna use passion in a job interview. Sir, why'd you become a gynecologist? Well, have a passion for pussy. You couldn't. When can I start, please? When can I? Couldn't do it, man. I want to make it clear, London. I want to make it very clear. I'm not a gynecologist. I'm not. I've had people come up to me after shows. I'm not a gynecologist. I'm just getting that on record. I'm not a gynecologist. No, I couldn't do it. Because I've deeped it, man. And do you know what I've clocked? It's one of the few jobs as a man that you can't be seen to be enjoyed. Even though it's a career you've chosen. You can't be at work smiling all willy-nilly. Beaming from ear to ear during a vaginal examination. You can't be grinning like you just found treasure. You can't do it. You've got to have a poker face. And that is something Dr. Malachi Love Robinson didn't have. If you don't know who he is, some people already do. If you don't know who this young man is, he was a 17-year-old from Florida who opened up his own gynae clinic. And when I heard this, I said, oh my goodness, this boy is a prodigy. My people need to hear about this. Retweet. Then the headline continued and said, without attending a day of medical school, undo retweet. Can't have this bullshit on my timeline. Because when you graduate medicine in the States, you get something called an MD. It's like a Master of Medicine. He said he didn't need that because he's already an MP, a Master of Punani. He said he's the Pum Pum healer, the clitoris feeler. Those were his words, not mine. I use anatomical terms. I call it the Ushi Gushi. And the wickedest thing, man, he had his own staff, he had his own clinic, he even had a graduation style photograph on the wall. But in it, he didn't have a gown, a degree hat, a scroll. All he had was a lab coat and a Fisher-Price stethoscope, flanked by his family, too busy grinning to ask, so where are your classmates? Why aren't we at a medical school? Why are we in a photography studio behind a Popeye's chicken? Where are the answers to these questions? I joke, man, but I think it's a very sad indictment on the American healthcare system that he was allowed to practice. Obviously, out in the States, it's based on what you can afford. And that's why I think we should be very proud of the system we have here. It's not the best system. It's a system where you got to go to a comedy show to see a doctor. But still, it's a system which is based on your needs and not what you could afford to pay. So I think we should be very proud of what we have here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh yeah, he went to prison, by the way. I should have led with that. He did. He's not free on these streets. He went to prison for 2.5 years. I feel he deserved more. Because 2.5 is not a deterrent. To an incel, that is an invitation. That is not long enough. Lockdown felt like prison though. Do you know what lockdown was like for us NHS staff? I'm going to give you guys an analogy. It was like being sent out to deal with a fire that we couldn't see with a fire engine that didn't have a hose. And we went to the government and said, hey, by the way, this fire engine you guys gave us, that shit ain't got no hose. And the government like, oh my, do you know what we're gonna do for you? We're gonna clap. And that was their whole modus of operandi. You fan that fire and we will applaud you. Fucking dickheads, man. Fucking piece of the shit. Fucking hell, cuz. Can't get some help, man. But we did get some perks. From other institutions, we did get some perks. My favourite perk, I gotta be honest, was the supermarket queue jump. Do you remember what your favourite perk was? Oh no, lady behind you, sorry. No, you don't have to. Our GP nurse. Do you remember what your favourite perk was? You just blocked that period out of your memory. I respect it. What about, do you remember what your favourite perk was?
It was supermarkets, 10% off or something, wasn't it?
Ooh, I didn't get no 10%. Where was it? Boy, where did you go? I need to find out. I'm angry about this now. I'm in a good mood. Oh, I'll try it. I'll try it. Next time I go shopping, I'll try that. No, let me tell you guys something about the supermarket queue job. Obviously, Thursday, 8 o'clock, you guys are all out there banging your pots and pans. But when it came to jumping them queues, the amount of dirty looks some of you guys were giving us. It was like, you know what it was like? It was like King Charles anytime he sees Archie. Just bare, dirty looks. Watch the documentary. So I remember I was moving through the queue one time, and then this guy that looked like Jacob Rees-Mogg stops me. And he's like, security, this scoundrel is pushing in. I was thinking, rah, what about me is giving him the impression that I'm not on the front lines? And I realized that day I was wearing a hoodie. So when he saw me, he said, nah, this guy can't be saving lives. He's more likely to take one. But I had time for him that day. And I pulled out my NHS ID. And as soon as he saw it, he was like, Christ on the bike! My apologies. Then he ran off, hopped on a penny farthing, and he just rode off into the distance. Probably in the direction of a Waitrose. And the following week, I came to the supermarket like a full kit wanker, had my scrubs on, my stethoscope on, the whole shebang. I was like John Terry after the Champions League final. And the whole queue, they were applauding me like I just won an election. They're like, go Michael. I was like, how did they know my name? Go Michael had my name tag on. They were like, go Michael, go. Let me tell you something, London. I was this close to twerking. I was this close to making it clap for the NHS for real. Then I get to the front of the queue now, and I forgot my ID. Oh my days. I've never begged to get to a supermarket like it's a nightclub in my life. I was like, big man, please. He was only 5'4", but I was like, big man, please. If you let me in here, you will never wait 4 hours in A&E again, I swear. I'll call the pediatric team to see right away. And then he didn't like that. He was like, no ID, no entry. I said, Napoleon, please. Don't make me look like I've been window shopping during the pandemic, please. But we wouldn't have it. So I had to stand at the front of the queue, and I went on my phone, and I used Sainsbury's Wi-Fi to do a Tesco online shop. So they can taste that fucking difference. They can taste that shit. That's it, man. If you don't live by the scrubs, they will see you as a scrub. For example, man, if I wanted to make some extra change, yeah? Because them claps don't pay. I could have started an OnlyFans where them claps do pay. Do you understand? Just so we're all on the same page. Does everyone know what OnlyFans is? Someone said that with some conviction over there, man. Okay. Check your phone. Who you subscribe to? But I want to make it clear, London, if I started OnlyFans, I wouldn't show any arse. I'm not Ghanaian, man. I wouldn't make any money. So what I would do, I'll go into the foot fetish market, because that's $1 million market. I know a girl out in the States, he makes $5,000 a month showing her claws, and they're nothing special. Whilst my left foot, my left foot is an athlete's foot survivor. Do you have any other survivors in? Where's my yeast boys and yeast girls in the building? Where you? Don't disown me now. Alright, some of you are lying statistically, but anyway. I know Helen's seen all your nasty feet. I know that GP practice. But I had it back a few summers ago when we just come out of the pandemic, and I was proper self-conscious about it. So what I did was I put Armani fragrance packaging on my antifungal spray. So I'll be at these pool parties, I'm going to invite to a pool party, just topping up at the poolside. People are like, what are you doing, Michael? I said, look, it's just Armani, baby, just Armani from my head to my toe. Not everyone can afford this Giorgio. But I wouldn't jump in the pool, because that's how pandemics start. I'll stay right on the outside, then Hugo comes and he fucks up the script. Hugo comes and said, Michael, why are you not jumping in? Is it because you can't swim? Now that's a dilemma, people. That's a dilemma, because on one hand, I don't want to infect the whole pool. But on the other hand, I don't want to reinforce racial stereotypes. So what the fuck do I do? I'm gonna ask my dentist friend, what would you have done in my scenario? In that scenario, your challenge, what would you have done? You wouldn't, so you would have reinforced the stereotype. Oh my goodness, I dive right in. Because it's easier to treat athlete's foot than it is a stereotype. And an hour later, I go into the toilet and all these guys come in complaining about itchy feet. I was like, uh-oh. Sounds like you got athlete's foot, boys. But lucky for you guys, I got just the thing for you. But because it's Armani, I'm gonna have to charge you. I came like one of them nightclub vendors. I was like, no spray, no lay. No Armani, no. There we go, man, karaoke. Gotta live by the scrubs, or they'll see you as a scrub. Like, for example, more time, I just want to be a young guy from London. That's the thing. You've got to be a role model all the time in healthcare. I just want to be a young guy from London. Like, I remember this one patient, he was kind of a big guy. I was like, look, man, in my professional opinion, you got to lose a little bit of weight. And you can start by eating right. Half an hour later, I kid you not, we both see each other in Dixie Chicken. I was so embarrassed, and I just paid for his chicken and left, man. Had to go to Greg's. Greg's is more low-key for me. But I'm trying to eat better, though. I'm trying to eat better, but I find it difficult because people bring treats into the office. When people bring treats into respective establishments, do you guys find out who brought them in, or do you dive straight in? What do people do? What do people do? Dive in. I know people are Tom Days. I know that, man. So when I was leaving my last job, what I did was I brought in this pack of Krispy Kreme donuts. I left them on the counter. I come back at lunchtime. I was like, who ate my donuts? Who ate my donuts? See them all wiping the icing off their face. You would have thought Shaggy was in the room, the way everyone's saying it wasn't me. Everyone's denying the hell out of it. I said, look, they're not even for me. They're for my nephew. He's 4 years old today. Who ate my donuts? And one guy came forward. I don't even know who this guy is, but he had a glazed beard, so I know he had several. He was like, my bad. I didn't know, so my bad's like, enough for me. Gotta learn a lesson today, my friend. Gotta learn a fucking lesson today. So my nephew, man, he's even got cancer. This could be his last birthday, and you guys are out here eating these donuts. And one girl came forward, she's like, oh my goodness, I feel terrible. I'm gonna go out and replace those donuts. And she comes back an hour later with donuts from Aldi. Krispy Kreme. Aldi. I was at Aldi Donuts. You trying to get him before the cancer? Like, what are you trying to do here, my guy? Has anyone here at Aldi Donuts? That's why you're all still here. That's why you could attend the gig. I'm yet to meet an Aldi Donut survivor. I'm yet to meet one of them motherfuckers, man. As you can tell, man, I'm a big kid at heart. And now I've actually got the money to do the things I've always wanted to do. Like, there's this trampoline park right by my house. It's called Jump In Trampoline. And I've always wanted to go. But I tried to go there recently, but they said I couldn't go because I was without a child. Apparently, to jump safely on a trampoline, you need to be accompanied by a child chaperone. So I thought about it. I said, whose kid can I borrow? Where can I rent a child? Do these creches sublet kids? Then I thought about my niece. She's like 6. She's great, so I grabbed her and I was like, let's go. She was like, what about school? I said, let's go. We're on our way to the trampoline park. She's like, this is going to be a great day out. But little did she know, she's not going to be there as my guardian. So we're at the trampoline park. She's jumping, I'm jumping. She's like, oh my goodness, uncle, look how high I can jump. I said, look, this ain't about you. This is my day out, not your day out. I'm here hitting my personal best. You can barely jump to my knees. This is about me. This is about me. I don't know if you guys have been to a trampoline park, but you've got your own respective squares. It's like your own respective perimeter. And you're meant to respect your boundaries. And I don't know what overcame me. Maybe the inner British in me came out, because I started encroaching other people's squares. And when I get to this new square, I see in the corner, there was this 3-year-old jumping. And obviously gravity had already decided the outcome. But what I will say is, nah, man, this kid, he needed to get his weight up. Because I thought there was a childhood obesity crisis, but no one told this child. Marcus Rashford didn't feed everyone. So as soon as I landed, this kid, he just launched like a North Korean missile. He was soaring. I was like, fuck a billionaire, this could be the first baby in space. I was like, land. He lands in the soft play now, and the dad comes up to me, and I'm like, look, I don't know what I can say to you, sir. I don't skip leg day. There's a lot of thigh meat here, that's some velocity in that jump. And all the other kids come up to me like, oh my goodness, sir, can we do that too? I said, look, we can only do that if you agree to be future child chaperones. So now I've got this long logbook full of these young people's numbers for trampoline services only. Because young people, man, they don't care if you're boy or girl, hoodie or scrub, black or white. All they care about is if you're a fun person to be around. And with that said, does anyone know any trampoline parks close by here? If I find one, you see me there tomorrow with a Chinese kid, mind your business. I'm the Asian Doctor of the Year, mind your business. I've always actually wanted to work at the pediatric hospital close by here, man, Great Ormond Street. Very prestigious hospital, man. And I was outside there not so long ago. And I got a question, London, question. Tell me your honest opinion. Is it rude to get change from buskers? Okay, hear me out. I was outside Great Ormond Street Hospital, and there was this guy singing Michael Jackson tunes I thought was a little bit insensitive. Like, that wouldn't have been my first choice. But Peppa Pig was available. But he was decent. So I pulled a tenner out from my pocket. As soon as he saw it, his eyes lit up, which told me he knew he wasn't worth the £10. He's probably worth £2 at best. So I put the tenner in his pot, and then started getting my change out. And then he got all offended. Was I in the wrong there? No, London, you need to tell me. Was I in the wrong there? Yes. Well, too bad, because I took about £9.90 and kept it moving, man. My mum does that at church all the time. Now, my wife pays her tithe, though, but I think she's just trying to repent from assaulting me. I think that's all that is. But I do love my wife, man, and make some noise if you're in love, make some noise. Applauses and that, because when you tell people you're in love, they always ask you that question. Would you take a bullet for your partner? Would you, sir? Yeah? Anywhere? Not so confident now, sir, are you? Man said point to the pinky, I'll take you in the pinky. Leave my head alone, please. What about you, sir, with our dentist? Would you take a bullet?
Yeah, like you say, in the pinky.
In the pinky, baby. Jeez, men are trash out here, man. We're not being the allegations. Hot damn, man. It's crazy. You know what? Maybe that's not really a relevant question for us out here in Islington. We're not in, I don't know, Tottenham or some shit. I think a more relevant question, the more telling question is, do you kiss your partner with their morning breath? Make some noise if you do that. Not so enthusiastic now. No, because you guys are like me, because the other morning my partner rolled over and I thought my nose was blocked. Till I smelled that breath. And I babe, look, I love you. But I'd rather take that bullet, man. I don't need both my kneecaps, please. No, but my missus, man, she works for the health service too. She's a junior doctor as well. She's doing all right for herself. And 2 of my exes are also very, very successful. So this has got me thinking, London, is this all because of me? Like, have I got the magic stick? What's going on? Or maybe it's in spite of me, I don't know. I'll tell you about one of my exes, yeah? One of my exes is an MP. She is an MP, and I'm gonna say Labour MP, because I don't want no one thinking I slept with Pri Patel. I don't want no one making that mistake, cuz. But let's have some fun, man. Let's have some fun. Let's imagine that one night stand, yeah? I wake up in the morning, she's like, Michael, I'm gonna get you a cab home. I'm like, okay, pretty, that's cool, man. You're gonna put me on the expenses, yeah? That's cool, man. Then half an hour later, I'm in the cab like, where the hell are we going? I live nowhere near Heathrow. Where the fuck? Pretty, don't do this to me. Mustafa, you're driving now, but you next, Mustafa, but you next. I like doing that bit, man. No, because it's 2023, there's so much diversity in the Labour Party, so you guys don't know what black woman I'm referring to. But I'm sure if this was the 1980s, you guys would be like, well, it's Diane Abbott, innit? It's Diane. And maybe it's Diane, you don't know. Maybe I like my mojitos on the train too, you don't know. If you hear in the news that Diane's pregnant, you know who was looking at her, you know? Who that was. But that's it, man, like, even relationships in the workplace, it's difficult, man. They come like Love Island. You don't know who's dating who. You don't even know who's married to who, man. Like, my missus professionally, she goes by a doctor maiden name because she said she doesn't know how well my comedy career is going to go. So she's hedging her bets. But sometimes I get mixed up too. Like, some shit I say on the stage, I know I can't say at work, but I forget where I be sometimes. I get my wires crossed. I was talking to one of my professor, older guy, cool guy, man. We're in the canteen just chopping it up. And I started confiding in him. I was like, look, man, this geriatrician you guys just hired, she's not my cup of tea at all. She's too inner. Maybe because her man's not handling business, she's all up in arts. And he goes, you know what? I noticed that too. I said, rah, when did you clock that? He goes, when I married her. Christ on the bike. Where's my penny farthing when you need one? I couldn't even go apologise, because deep down I know that stroke game is weak, I know. I just went home, man. I live half an hour from work. But Lord knows my P45 got home before I did. A week later, HR sent me a letter saying I got dismissed for poor performance. I was like, whose performance are we talking about? Whose performance was it? And I thought that could be it. London, I'll be real with you, man. I thought that could be my career done. But that was nothing compared to the day I got summoned to court, man. I'm only going to tell you guys the story because I go through life ruminating whether I'm a scrub or not, when in actuality, the powers that be could just take this from me and leave me with no scrubs. So I got called in, got involved in the care of an elderly man who unfortunately passed away from a chest infection. And I was only 6 months into my career. I was like a rookie, I was an apprentice, but they summoned me and only me. They didn't want my boss, they didn't want my consultant. It's like they wanted Homer there, but not Mr. Burns. And I was worried about my career going up in flames, man. I was 24 at the time, I studied for 5 years, and my career could be done in 6 months. I was thinking, heck, this could get so bad, the NHS may not even let me back in as a patient. Like, it could get so bad, they could like Shamima Begum me, they cannot let me back in. It could get... That's how bad it was. But it wasn't just my career in jeopardy. No, it wasn't. It was my freedom potentially too. And I didn't want to have the same trajectory as this guy right here. So I started Googling doctors on trial. What is their survival rate? And I came across a guy called Dr. Conrad Murray, who at the time of his death was Michael Jackson's doctor. And my first thought was, how do you fuck up a 90 grand a month gig to keep one man alive? He was on a Premier League salary, and all he had to do was keep a 50-year-old breathing. Look, if that was me, and money's no option, anytime Michael Jackson coughed, he would have got a new pair of lungs. Palpitation were upgrading that heart. Any ailment, we would have beat it. But Conrad Murray, he don't think like me. No, instead he administers him with propofol, which is a whole anesthetic for insomnia. Michael Jackson just wanted some rest and peace. He didn't want to rest in peace. So Dr. Conrad Murray, this black doctor with a Russian first name, they convict him of involuntary manslaughter. And I kept on looking close to home in the UK, and I came across a guy called Dr. David Selou, who's a UK general surgeon of Ghanaian descent. And as I tell you about his downfall, just bear in mind, he always had the option of starting that OnlyFans. So he would refer the patient with a bowel perforation, that's the hole in the bowel, that's a surgical emergency, and he knew he needed to operate straight away. But he couldn't, because he didn't have a theatre team and an anaesthetist there at the ready. Because a surgeon needs a whole team to operate the same way Nicole Scherzinger needs them pussycat dolls. And by the way, does anyone actually know the name of the other dolls, like on the real? Okay, Kimberly, Carmit, Jessica, Ashley, Melody. If you're everyone who wants to be a millionaire, you're fucking welcome. But back to the case, man. Due to the delay of this patient's care, the patient unfortunately succumbed to their injuries. But guess who they charged with manslaughter? Guess who they convicted of manslaughter? And guess who they sent to Belmarsh prison for 15 months? David Selou and David Selou only. If you don't know what Belmarsh prison is, it's a category A prison down in South London. It's where they send the murderers, where they send the rapists, where they send the sexual abusers. Essentially, where Tim Westwood should be. What's the documentary? So I told my mother everything I've just told you guys. You know what her summation was? She was like, so, you've been charged with murder. She's like, my son is a doctor and a murderer. How could this be? I said, well, I know who I'm not calling to the stand, that's for sure. I will end up with 100 years plus life. I'm not calling you. So I said, let me speak to this lawyer who broke it down for me. He said, nah, man, you're not being summoned to criminal court. This is coroner's court. You're being summoned as a medical witness to give a true account of why this person passed away. I said, well, call my mother and tell her that. But she said, if there's any evidence of any foul play or any negligence, you could be convicted of manslaughter and go down like David Selou. I said, well, delete my number, because you are fired. I need a lawyer that's going to defend me the same way the Queen defended Andrew. That's what I need. Look, man, say what you want about Lizzie, but she dropped that 12 million like a gangster. She was like, fuck what my son done, that's my jigger, I respect it. Word to Lowski loose, I respect it. Anyway, so it came to the day of the court case, and I thought social etiquette dictates that if you're speaking to someone and you're exchanging confidential information, then you speak in an inside voice. I wanted to give the receptionist at the courthouse the benefit of the doubt. Even though she looked like she was closer to retirement, maybe it was her first day, you know? Maybe she had Benjamin Button disease, I don't know. Because I went to her, I said, hi, I'm Michael Akadiri. She goes, Michael Akadiri? The whole foyer turned around. Everyone's looking at me, including the family members. And at that moment, I wanted the ground to swallow me up. Because whilst I wasn't a defendant, at that moment, I felt like one. And I kept on ruminating the patient's case back in my head. The patient had a chest infection, was on intravenous antibiotics via the drip. They were getting a bit better, so we switched them to tablet antibiotics. They go so much better, the boss said, let's send them home. No one, not even the prophetess, could envisage he would later go home that day and pass away. And with everything in mind, I walked into the courtroom. And despite everything I've just said, I was actually quite confident. And do you want to know why? Because I've seen Suits. I know how these court cases go. The coroner asked me 3 questions. He said, is your name Michael Akadiri? I said, yes, it is. He said, were you looking after the person in question? I said, yes, I was. She said, would you change anything in your management? And before I could plead the 5th, luckily for me, my boss, my consultant, surprises everyone, turns up to the courtroom, and with the power of his testimony, the coroner surmises that there's no case to answer and no foul play at hand. And whilst this should leave me a bit relieved, London, I was a bit miffed. I was thinking, rah, man, like, maybe I don't want to work a career where people could be clapping for me at 8 and trying to get me charged by 9. Maybe I don't want to work a career where my best can have me understand where my freedom could be compromised. And I understand why there's scrutiny on doctors. I'm not naive. Well, I nearly pled the 5th in the UK court, but I'm not naive. I understand, man. Obviously, people like the aforementioned Harold Shipman, obviously the UK's most prolific serial killer, who also found time to be a GP. Look, man, you'll get a same-day appointment, but it could be your last. But that's the toss-up with him. He was convicted of killing 15, but he was linked to 250 more, because people see him leaving the victim's house with all the paraphernalia of murder, but still ask themselves, so who did it? Who could it be? Even the police were like, Dr. Shipman, be careful, there's a murderer out on the loose, be careful. Because they looked at this middle-class, middle-aged guy, man, and said, nah, man, it can't be him. But in the case of David Selou, they said it can only be him. And Michael Jackson, during his prime, during his time, he had a very popular song. And it went, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. And I know London, I know. He had a unique perspective of being both. But when it comes to cases of criminal justice, sometimes it does matter. And that's why I don't really subscribe to identity politics, man. Because when I'm in these scrubs, it's all, hey, Doc, how you doing, Doc, you good? But when I take this off, I'll take it off right now. Nah, I'm joking, not that type of show, man. Pay more than £10 to see all of this. But when I take it off and I put on a hoodie, who do I become? Do I become a scrub? Do I become an IC3? I've not changed, but the perception of me certainly has. And the wickedest thing of all, I can still do CPR in a hoodie. That's not changed. But God forbid, there's a medical emergency and I'm in one. Will they let me save the day, or will they stop and search me on the way? And that's why I said we've got to be more like these kids, because they don't judge, they don't identify with any identity politics. To take it further, I'm going to paraphrase a famous analogy by MLK, Martin Luther King. We should judge someone on the content of their character, not their choice of attire. And I've got a proposal for you, London, and I want you to tell me your honest opinion. I think there should be a day where NHS staff, you're talking dentists, nurses, office staff, doctors, paramedics, all of the above are allowed to wear a tracksuit at work. Because I think it would really change opinions if you see paramedics on the street doing CPR, or you go to your GP and he or she is dressed like Ali G. And we call this NHS Tracksuit Day or the National Hoodie Service for sure. What do you guys think? All right, man. I'm going to take that to the Health Secretary tomorrow. Whoever the fuck that is right now, because I do not know. I can't keep up. Call them and be like, hi, it's Michael Akadiri here, the Asian Doctor of the Year. How can I help? Got a proposal for you. To be honest, I don't know why people in hoodies get so much scrutiny, man. I don't. I think if you're going to fit anyone, it should be men in suits. Men in suits have caused the worst atrocities this earth has ever seen. Vladimir Putin right now is trying to take over Ukraine in a three-piece. Kim Jong-un, the Asian dictator of the year, is always the mad one. Adolf Hitler tried to take over the world in a Hugo Boss fitted. What's the worst one in the tracksuit trying to take over? An estate in Tottenham. Like, there are levels to all of this. I had a guy come up to me after a show I did in Edinburgh. Was it Edinburgh? I can't remember where it was. He said, that bit about suits, Michael, you're absolutely right, absolutely fantastic. I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's why I don't like that Meghan Markle. I said, thank you for coming to my show, Piers Morgan. Thank you so much for your custom. Appreciate it, sir. I guess what I'm trying to say is, man, don't look at someone in a hoodie and think they're a scrub when they could have a life in scrubs. And people ask me, oh my shit, like, how's your career after that court case? And I told them it's fine, man. It wasn't impacted by the court case. I was able to, like, forge somewhat of a career in orthopedics. What may actually hamper my career is telling all you guys about that Ash Cash. I don't think my colleagues will be very happy with me because I'm fucking up their money. But I'm in this weird space, man, comedy, medicine, comedy, and I've actually been fortunate enough to start a sabbatical. So I'm actually on a sabbatical from work to see if these jokes can really pay. Right now they don't, but there we go. But one thing I know, man, is that longer term, wherever I end up, whatever happens, man, is that you can never really retire the stethoscope. You can never really say goodbye, man. Like, you always got to stay ready. Like, anytime on a plane, I've got to stay ready for that question. Any doctors on here? Which I don't like, by the way, because these guys want me to work for free. But when I ask for a staff discount on the pretzels, suddenly, I'm not an employee. I flying back from Amsterdam not so long ago. They asked that question, and my guys ratted me out. I was like, why would you do that? I'm still high. But the air was just like, aren't you part of the National Hoodie Service? I said, look, I've not been announced this yet. How high am I? What the hell is going on? What was in that Star Dog? Anyway, the air hostess was insistent, said I should follow her, and I followed her to the front of the plane, and there was a lady there having an anxiety attack, which I made worse because I revealed I knew who she was. It was the prophetess. And apparently what happened, someone had offered her an Aldi donut, so I said, okay, here's a Krispy Kreme. That should settle your nerves. But she's all good, man, she's all good. She took credit for me saving her life, but she's all good. And we're actually for quite a bit of a friendship now, man. She'd been coming to the hospital I was working at most recently because she's been having these ophthalmology appointments because she's losing a vision, which is ironically a vision she didn't see coming. But she told me she's had one last vision of me. She said she saw me with a vision with a child. I said, yeah, of course. I'm going trampoline and little Peter Chang. Of course, you've seen me with a child. That's what I be doing. Don't be acting brand new. She's like, no, stop fucking around, Michael. Your own child. I said, no, there's no way. There's no way. Because my missus and I, we use 2 forms of contraception. 1, the vibrator. And 2, anytime we do it, we strap the fuck up with some Durex. But I've got to give the prophetess some credit, man. Like, I've given her a bit of slack, but every time she said something, she's come through clutch. And I remember a week after that discussion with her, my wife, my missus, she came home with a positive pregnancy test. And the crowd go wild. And I had to beg you for that, damn. Now, as I stand here on stage, my son, I've got a 5-month-old, very healthy boy. That's my son. Thank you so much. But during the pregnancy, we didn't know anything. We didn't know his gender. We didn't know if it was going to be her egg or my egg. I checked this mine. But one thing I did know that I've now got my chaperone for life. I've got my chaperone. He can't get out of that. And I think, man, with children, man, I think you always like think forward. You're thinking, raw. You don't want them to have the same challenges that you had. Do you understand? You want life to be a bit easier for them. But I've seen his hairline. He's got about 5 trims left. But as you guys leave here, London, man, I know I've said a lot about hoodies. I know I've said a lot about tracksuits, man. But God forbid it happens. But let's just say you guys are approached by 5 guys in hoodies. And they ask for your phone. Don't ask them what hospital do you work at. You're being fucking robbed. Alert and divert and get the hell out of there, man. Okay. I've been Michael Akadiri. Thank you so much for coming out and paying attention.